There are times that you may want to show or hide part of a page depending on some condition. So here in app component, I'm going to define a field, courses, set it to an array with 2 items. Now for now, we're just going to use simple numbers. In a real world application, you're going to have the actual course objects. But let's not worry about that and just focus on showing or hiding part of a page. Now, in our app.component.html file, if we have any courses in this array, we want to render them in a list. Otherwise, we want to display a message to the user like there are no courses yet. So first, I'm going to create a div. This is where we're going to display the list of courses. Now here, again, I'm simplifying this example. If you want to render the list of courses, you would use a ul and li with the ngIf directive. So here's one div for displaying the list of courses. And here's another for displaying a message like no courses yet. We want to render one div or the other depending on the number of items in our courses array. For that, we use the ngIf directive. So to refresh your memory, we use directives to modify the DOM. Now there are 2 types of directives. Structural directives modify the structure of the DOM by adding or removing DOM elements. Attribute directives modify the attributes of DOM elements. So here we want to change or modify the structure of our DOM. We want to add or remove one DOM element. So whenever you're using structural directives, you need to prefix them with an asterisk. And I'm going to explain the reason later in this section. So asterisk ngIf. Now here we add the condition. If this condition evaluates to truthy, this div will be rendered in the DOM. So we can add something like courses that length greater than 0. Now you don't necessarily have to write the condition here. You may have a method in your class like this. Do we have any courses? When we call this method, we get some value. If that value evaluates to truthy, then this div will be rendered. Now let's revert this back. Now we can use the same technique with the other div. And this is the old approach before ngIf 4. So let's see how that works. ngIf, I want to render this div if we don't have any courses. So courses that length equals 0. Now back in the browser. So because we have 2 items in our array, we see the list of courses message. Now back in our component, I'm going to empty this array, save, back in the browser. Now we get no courses yet message. Let's inspect this. So here under app root, look, we have only one div, which is the div with the message no courses yet. So the other div is not in the DOM. And that's what I want you to pay attention to. So when you use ngIf, if this condition evaluates to truthy, this element will be added to the DOM. Otherwise, it will be removed from the DOM. Now in Angular 4, now we have a slightly different syntax to implement the exact same feature. So instead of repeating ngIf twice with this condition reversed, we can implement it using an if and else kind of approach, just like how we have if and else in a lot of programming languages. So first we need to change the type of this second element from div to ngTemplate. So ng-template. Then we remove this ngIf, make the code cleaner, but we need to assign this template an identifier. Earlier, you learned that you can use this hashtag to define a template variable. Let's call this block no courses. Then we modify our ngIf. So after the condition, we add a semicolon and we type else and then the name of our template variable, no courses. Note that I didn't add this hashtag here, just the name of our template variable. So if this condition is truthy, this block will be rendered, otherwise the other block. Let's try it. Back in the browser. So currently we don't have any courses and that's why we see this message. If I go back in app component and add a couple of items here, now we see the list of courses. Now you may not quite like this syntax because in the first block we're using a div, in the second block we're using ngTemplate. They're kind of inconsistent. There is another approach. So we can define another ngTemplate here. ng template, and this is for displaying the list of courses. So we assign it an identifier like courses list, and here we add that message, list of courses. Okay, now we have one div with two templates, one for the condition that is truthy and the other for condition that is falsy. Okay, now we need to change our ngIf. So first we add our condition. If this condition is truthy, we add then, and here we specify the name of our ng template. So courses list. And then we have else, and here's the other block. So note that we have a semicolon after the condition. Then we have then as a keyword. Here is the name of our target block or target template. After that, we have else as a keyword, and finally the name of the other template. I personally prefer this approach because it's more clear and more consistent. Now there is another approach to show or hide part of a page, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next lecture.